And now we're in a field. Where could we be taking you to now? Well, maybe this video should be called the religious one. We're going to another church. Yeah, we are really. I know it doesn't look like it. Finally some decent weather. The farmers are making the most of the sunshine, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cutting the grass.
Making hay while the sun shines, as they say. So hopefully it's going to be, they've looked at the forecast and it's going to be quite decent for a couple of days. Otherwise they wouldn't left it, they wouldn't have cut it, would they?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Look at that view behind. It's a fair trek to this church. You wouldn't want to do it in bad weather, would you?
I'm just thinking, most churches you see from a distance, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't know from which view you approach you would see this one. I can't see. Yeah, I suppose the trees have grown over the years.
Yeah, it probably was visible, wasn't it? Just over there, you've got Bassenthwaite Lake.
Or is it water? Oh,
Bassenthwaite is a lake, isn't it? Yeah.
Lakes, isn't it? And over that side is Skiddaw Range.
There in the distance you can see the lake now. You're posing ever so nicely. Thank you. You're not going to pick this up on the camera, but right over there in the distance, black dot in the sky, it's a Chinook helicopter. It might fly a bit closer. You might just start hearing it. Getting our first view of the church now. There it is. And this is st.bega's, known as the church in the field. I can see why. Those small churches that commands a nice view. Especially on a day like today. So you're asking why have we brought you to another church?
Bega lived in the 7th century or the 9th, we're not really sure, but she was a daughter of an Irish chieftain, and he wanted to marry her off to a Viking prince, just I suppose to cement ties and settle disputes and things. But in order to preserve her virginity, she fled across the Irish Sea, and her only possessions, an arm ring gifted to her by an angel. And she landed at st.bega, upon which the priory was founded in her honour. But she was told to build a church where the snow doesn't fall, and so this was it. Don't know. I'm sure snow does fall.
I was going to say, I'm sure it snowed since.
Yeah.
So catch have been over Trade's description.
It's one of the few churches in the country that predates the first millennium, and is still in use for regular services, weddings.
I'll go and have a look inside in a sec, but while we were just stood here telling you that, I've just seen a grave here. Thomas Slater, third son of Joseph and Elizabeth Slater of Parkergate, who died in Auckland, New Zealand on June the 6th, 1896, and was interred at Mount Samawamuta or something. So it's actually a memorial stone, not a grave to him, for him.
And also Henry Slater, sixth son of the above, who died in Geelong, Australia,
in 1906, aged 71 years. So that was a good age back then, wasn't it? So even back then, people travelled from these small hamlets, and
you wonder why he ended up in Australia.
Probably a convict, but
in that era.
Yeah,
Possibly.
but not New Zealand. They didn't really.
No.
Did they have convict
I don't know.
ships going to Australia, to New Zealand? So let's go and have a look inside. Smaller than the last church we were in. Just causing a bit of consternation. We've got the dogs tied up to the gate outside, not thinking that anyone else would be here, and someone's just arrived, waiting patiently at the gate so they didn't disturb the dogs. This is a Highmore Memorial. This monument, probably late 14th century in date, is inscribed Hic Jacque Robertus de Chimmer Cujus Anime Preprictia Du. Here lies Robert Highmore, upon whose soul may God be merciful. The cross has a diamond-shaped head with each arm extending in fleur-de-lis. With it are 4 trefoils. Alongside the cross, which stands on a cavalry mound, is shown the knight's sword. And up here's a memorial stone. I do like reading the memorial stones when there's some history rather than just dates. This monument was erected by Sir F.F. Vane Bart to the memory of his son Walter Vane, Esquire, late captain of the 1st Foot Guards, or Duke of York's regiment, who was mortally wounded at the Battle of Bayonne on the 14th of April 1814 and died on the 19th of the same month, in the 19th year of his age. His remains were interred with military honours between the city of Bayonne and the village of Buka, along with many of his brother officers who bravely fell in the service of their country on the same memorable occasion. Yeah, I've done this. Sorry. More memorials. Peter, son of the late Joseph and Amy Pearson of Bowness, great-grandson of the above-mentioned and later the Ordnance Department of the Indian Army, who departed this life on the 15th of February 1870. And like all churches, they're fundraising for restoration, and Sir Melvin Bragg is a patron here. And he's saying that when he was a schoolboy, he used to cycle with friends into the Lake District, usually towards Bassenthwaite, where they'd hire a boat and row across to a small, isolated church on the western edge of the lake. And it's said that Bassenthwaite is supposed to have inspired Tennyson, who often stayed nearby, for several key passages in Mort d'Arthur, and became one of his favourite haunts in the whole of the Lake District. We'll look above this doorway.
Something you don't always find in churches, and that's the coat of arms of George II, just to remind worshippers as they came in that their allegiance was to the English crown. Just down here is a 14th century font. Not as decorative as the one we saw at the last church.
There's a nice wooden top though, isn't it?
We have been looking for an hourglass, a cast iron hourglass, which was used to time sermons. And whether they put a time limit on the sermons, I don't know, or we don't know, or whether they just were timing them for record. We can't find it anywhere, can we?
No, sadly. Interesting to see. I think you've probably had your fill of churches in this video. We started worshipping at the altar of a big breakfast, the altar of Wetherspoons, and took you to two churches. Back out into the sunshine. Just looking at the notice board, there's a list of where people came to visit from in 2022. It's quite a list of places. From Shetland to Cornwall, people also came from Australia, Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Dubai, Ayr, Finland, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Isle of Man, Malaysia, Nepal, New Zealand, wonder whether they came to see that grave, Norway, Poland, Slovakia, the Netherlands, the United States and Ukraine. And for a considerable number of people, it's a repeat visit because they find this church so peaceful and a place to reflect. We found a couple of the congregation. Very simple meal tonight. Buns with a view. And if you come this way, homemade burgers with Baby Bell cheese in the middle. Because after that big breakfast earlier, we're not that hungry really. But yep, that's our view for tonight, and then moving on tomorrow to, we're not sure where yet. Keith's happy. He's found someone to talk to, talking drones and vans. And no doubt he'll come and report back after. Tell me what's been said. Lovely view again tonight though. And that's it for this video. A bit of a religious one, a couple of churches. We had a wander around Keswick, but you've seen Keswick before, so there's no point in us really walking around it again. Though there are some things we might show you tomorrow, possibly, that we've not done before. We might have a wander around the lake a little bit. But for now, for this video, thanks as always for watching. Please do leave a comment. We always like to read them and we will always reply. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.